Today we'll hear from a man whose glucose was so high it would not register on the hospital's devices. He was going blind. He was losing weight like crazy. He had all kinds of problems. But he's sure doing a lot better today. I had a man leave a comment under one of my videos with an amazing story. I wanted to learn more. I asked him, send me your story by email. I'd like to hear more of it. He did, and it was so fascinating and so powerful, I wanted to interview him. But the problem was he's a little bit on the shy side and doesn't feel like he's just ready for the camera, put it that way. So I said, well, can we talk over the phone so I can learn a few more details of your story? And he agreed to that, and so I talked to him over the phone a while back. He's a really neat guy. His name is Charles. He lives in the Philadelphia area. And boy, he has a story to tell. I wish we could have him here, but I'm going to have to share his story for him. Here's what he sent me by email. And then I'll tell a few things I learned over the phone as well. He says, I appreciate you asking me to share my success with the public. I just don't feel like I'm articulate enough to be able to express how your videos have helped me achieve victory in conquering diabetes. So he shares his story in print. He says, here's my story. In 2011, I was diagnosed with diabetes. That's been a long time ago. 2 months of not being able to see. And when I talked to him on the phone, I asked him, now, you really couldn't see. He could not see to drive. He could not see to work. He was a mess. Maybe he could see some vague shapes, but he could not see to really function in life. And still, it took his family and his girlfriend to push him hard enough to the point where he was willing to go to the doctor. He finally did. His weight had dropped off. Now, when your weight goes down, guess what? You've got real problems. The typical type 2 diabetic will have their weight go up. Their insulin is raging all over the place, and that insulin is going to cause weight gain. A type 1, it'll be the opposite. They have no insulin. So if they're a type 1 and they're not getting insulin, they don't know it yet, their weight will drop. He was showing evidence of, if not being a type 1, headed for the territory of type 1. He went from 255 to 172 in just a short time. He says a matter of weeks. Well, they took him to the hospital. His glucose was sky high. A1C was terrible. They put him on insulin, and so he went home and started taking the insulin. But he was having trouble. He talks about how that the glucose was going up and down. It was never steady. He probably was getting hypos from the way he puts it. And it was just so miserable that after a while, the insulin did help him to see better, and he could see again. But after a while, he just didn't think it was worth it with all those hypos he was getting. And so he just dropped everything and went about his business. Well, his eyesight stayed okay. It wasn't as bad as it had been before. And he took that apparently for a sign that all is well. I don't need the doctor. I don't need insulin. I can just ignore all this, and I seem to be better. And he did seem to be better for a while. But remember, this was in 2011 that he was having all these problems. He took the insulin for a while, finally stopped that. Didn't seem to have too many problems, but in 2020, last year, he developed a terrible blister on his foot. It wasn't healing, he says. The infection around the wound started to turn black. The doctors were worried the infection may have gotten into the bone, and apparently they were talking about amputation, cutting off his foot. He says, fortunately, it did not progress that far. My glucose number I was at that time was 11.0. 11.0 is very, very high, a very, very high A1C. He says, that's when I came across your videos, And I went through all of them. I like that. I came across your videos. I went through all of them. That's one of the reasons I put a link at the top of every description these days, that if you want to see kind of a catalog of all the videos we've got posted, click on that link that's at the very top of the description. And you can watch one after another, and a lot of people do. And he says he did. He watched all my videos, and he says, I applied what I learned to my daily routine. Love it, love it, love it. I watched, I learned some things, and then I applied what I learned. Well, about 10 years earlier, when he was having all those problems, the doctors were telling him, you've got issues, you've got to take insulin, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. He more or less ignored it when things got a bit better, and he got by with it to some degree for a while. But boy, this blister got his attention. Now, let me put up a picture, and you can see it. And isn't that nasty? That's just that's one of the nastiest blisters and sores I've ever seen. So he was in real problem. There's talk about cutting off his foot. They don't know if it's gotten into the bone yet or not. He gets desperate, finds beat diabetes, starts applying what he learns, watches all the videos, and he says, thank you, Dennis, and your lovely wife, Benedicta. I have so many thoughts I'd love to convey, but I'm not that fluent. He shares how that the blister, and when I talked to him on the phone, he shared how that the blister healed in about 2 weeks. Can you believe something that ugly, something that bad could heal in a couple of weeks? But folks, let me tell you something. When your glucose is high, you just don't heal well. Infections don't go away. You've got all kinds of issues, and they linger, and they go on, and they get worse. They don't get better. Your body is made to heal itself. Your body is made that when you get sores, when you get blisters, when you get wounds, it's supposed to heal itself. But for this man, it wasn't happening. And that's the problem with so many diabetics. They get a sore on their toe, it doesn't heal. A sore on their foot, a wound of some kind on their body, it doesn't heal. It goes on. Instead of getting better, which is supposed to happen, it gets worse. Because when your glucose is sky high, your body's just not going to heal. And you've got problems. So anyway, once he got his glucose down and started cutting those carbs, slashing the carbs, getting rid of the sugar, he figured it out, and he started applying it. As he says, I applied what I learned. I learned it, then I applied it. And take a look at his results. He sent this by email. On 5/14, May the 14th of 2020, he had a 269 estimated average glucose, 11.0 A1C. April the 1st, 2021, not too long ago, his A1C is now 5.0. I want to shout that from the housetops. 5.0. That is incredible. With an estimated average glucose of 97. You think this guy did a favor for himself? Well, I just thank God for Charles. Charles, I hope you're watching. I just want to say congratulations, my friend. We're proud of you. We're happy for you. And having talked to you on the phone, you're a really neat guy, and I appreciate you. From 11.0 to 5.0, having a blister that's so bad, they're talking about cutting off his foot, and now, within a couple of weeks, that was gone, and now no problems whatsoever. Eyesight is good. Everything is good health-wise. Charles is strong and healthy, and best of all, he knows what to do now. He knows how to live the rest of his life. And that's what we need. Some people say, oh, I wish I wasn't diabetic, then I could eat all that junk that I used to eat. They won't say junk, but I could eat a normal diet is the way they put it. But that's just unhealthy. Whether you get diabetes from it, or whether it causes heart problems, or whether you have high blood pressure and have a stroke or a heart attack, it's just unhealthy all the way around. So, Charles, once again, congratulations. And folks, some of you are right there where Charles was. You're listening to this. You're watching this right now. Your A1C is almost that bad. Maybe some of you, it's even worse than that. You've got all kinds of issues. And what I want to say to you is be encouraged. It worked for Charles. It can work for you. Cut off the source of your misery. and the source of your misery is overdosing in carbohydrates and a body that just cannot tolerate them anymore. All right, well, we're going to stop it at that point. Hope you have enjoyed it. If so, give us a thumbs up. That way YouTube will appreciate it and recognize it for having value, and will pass it on or promote it to other diabetics. And we hope you'll subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon so you'll be notified every time we post a new video. God bless. See you again soon.